Millard Heath, owner of Millard Heath and Company in Denton, Texas. In the next few minutes, I want to show you step by step, in detail, how to construct the living Christmas tree. After building more than 95 trees located all across the country, we feel that we are qualified to help you erect your living Christmas tree. Starting with step one, when you unload your tree structure from the truck, bring it into the building and string it out in the aisles of the building, keeping the platform clear where you're going to erect the tree. You need to have that work surface free and clear of all your obstructions. When you string out the material, you'll separate it by row number, which makes it easy to find as you start erection. Try as much as possible to keep the aisles clear so that you can pick up the pieces and bring them to the work areas they're needed. You want to lay out the angle iron by row number when you start the tree. This is row 1, as you see these angle irons that we already have started here. All of the pieces of angle iron will be identified by row number and section number, with the exception of these 15-inch pieces. They're all identical, except that they do come in left and right-hand pairs. All of the vertical pieces are channel iron, such as this piece I have my hand on here. For the purpose of erecting the tree, the rows or numbering process is reversed, starting with the bottom tier being number 1 and the top tier being whatever the number of tiers on their particular tree might be. I recommend that you use no less than 5 or more than 8 people to erect the tree. If you get more people than 8 working on the tree at the same time, they usually get in each other's way. The first year, it's real easy to have all kinds of volunteers running around at each other's elbow, but try to discourage this as much as you can. Work closely and quickly with a small group. That's the best way to erect your tree. These are the tools you will need to assemble the tree: a ratchet wrench, 9/16 socket, 7/16 socket, and a 9/16, 7/16 open end or box end wrench. In addition, you'll want a 1/4-inch drill motor with a 1/4-inch bit and possibly a 3/8 bit. To level the tree, we use at least a 24-inch long level. This one is 48 inches. But the most important thing you'll need, and you'll all remember this, trying to assemble a special toy at Christmas without reading the instructions or having the plans. We prepare a detailed set of plans as well as complete instructions for you to assemble your tree. Please review these before you start assembly. Now for step 2. Carpet or floor surface may be protected with plastic sheeting or heavy paper if desired, especially if you're using live greenery. However, there should be no damage or soiling the floor covering, since the tree support points rest on blocks of wood. Then step 3. Lay out uprights. These are the U-shaped channels by pieces that are the same length. A note: if your tree does not have a flat bottom and is custom constructed to fit choir risers, steps, so forth, see your special instructions at this point. Now you're ready for step 4. Selecting from the angle iron list, lay out row 1 on the platform, placing the blocks under the angles at the points where holes are provided to both the uprights. Make sure that the tree is positioned according to your plan view drawing. Upright columns must fit choir risers, steps, etc. The tree must be in the center of the platform floor. Even a little ways off center will show up if the star extends close to the peak of the ceiling, proscenium arch, or other architectural feature. Even a little bit of spacing off center is going to show up, particularly if your star extends near the peak of the ceiling or proscenium arch or any other architectural object that is centered. Use a tall step ladder and a plumb bob, if necessary, to locate that point. Your biggest temptation is to work down here, but what I want you to do is to focus up here. It's very important to get your tree centered and located in the proper area on your stage. Once it's all in place, it's too late then to move it. It's too heavy. So be sure that you're centered where you're supposed to be, located according to your floor plan, and to be sure that you're centered at the top so your star will be in line with the center of the building. Remember, the tree is laid out as follows: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Your plans are designed this way. Going to step 5, select from upright channel list. Attach R1 and R2 uprights at front end of R1 angles using 3/8 by 2.5 inch bolts and nuts. Do not over tighten the bolts that go through the uprights, as the channels will collapse. Attach the R1 platform boards using 3/8 by 1 inch bolts and clamp nuts starting at the center of section D. Align the platform boards with center of section D uprights. Once you have the angle iron and your upright channels for row 1, start with your platform boards in the middle of the tree at the D section. It's very important to center this joint of the platform board with the upright channels. Working from this point, then go around, all the way around to the A section and the G section. Do each tier level, each platform level, the same way. Always start in the middle and work around. All right, we're now up to the second tier, and you can see the detail how the wooden platforms are attached to these supporting channels, and how the channels attach to the angle iron supports. We use a unistrut nut with a 1 inch bolt and we start the nut on the bolt just like this. When we get ready to attach the platform steps, we simply slide these channels over the bolts, lift up and turn the nuts crossways on the channels, being sure again that the platform boards are centered with the upright channels, and then we tighten them up. You can see then how rigid that becomes. Use only the angles and channels listed for each row. Otherwise, you will not have the correct pieces later. Remember, I cautioned you not to tighten the bolts too tight where they go through the channel iron. This is what the result is. See how the channel squeezes together? We don't want to do this. Snug tight and then a half a turn on all channel pieces. Then to step 6. Stand the main column O at the back end of section D angles and secure using 3/8 by 2.5 inch bolts and nuts. Attach the 5 inch by 24 inch steel plate to the top of section D angles at the column O using 3/8 by 1 inch bolts and nuts. Now for step 7. Attach A, B, C, and E, F, G angles to plate and uprights following the same procedure. Going to step 8, attach the R2 angles and next row of uprights, adding R2 platform board. Always start at section D and work to each side. Repeat by attaching the remaining sections. Now the tree is beginning to take shape. You can see we're up to the second tier. Notice how we lined the tree up with the building looking right down the aisle. We also were very careful to clear the overhanging projection. For trees with odd number of tiers, R2 angles will extend back to column O. For trees with even number of tiers, R2 angles will only extend inward to the next main column. These are the main weight supporting columns. As you can see, they're on 4.5 foot centers. That enables us to distribute the weight over a larger surface of the weight-bearing platform. There will be 4 tiers between the columns. Step 9, using the 24 inch level, shim between blocks and the bottom of the columns to level the R1 angles. To level the tree, place the level on the horizontal angles, pry up until level, Insert a shingle shim. Okay. Repeat the process all the way out and all the way around the tree. Also use the level to true up the main columns vertically as you progress. Proceeding to step 10, attach the upright channels at the notches in each platform board between sections A, B, and F, G. To install the upright step supports that go between section A and section B, use a 2.5-inch bolt with one of the clamp nuts for the top anchor, and for the bottom use a 2.5-inch bolt that will go through the channel step support below. This will bolt through with the 3/8 nut. Be sure your clamping nut goes through and turns. This process will repeat until the last top 3 rows. Tighten both nuts with a ratchet. Continuing with step 12, for the top 3 rows, be sure to identify correct upright channels, as some of these are different on these rows. Moving on to step 13, attach all thread bracing rods at section D from column O to next main column. Repeat at A and G columns, then attach rods from main column to main column. To attach the angle to a column, use a 2.5-inch bolt, a washer, and a nut on the other side. Here we're tightening the cross brace to plumb the trees. The adjustable rods attach from main channel to main channel, and you can plumb the tree by tightening the nuts. We're using a level on the back center column to true up the tree. You can do this by tightening the cross bracing rods to pull the tree one side or the other. We also do the same thing to go front to back on the tree. Use the level again to get the horizontal portion of the tree level, and you shim up under with the blocks under each column to achieve that. Step 14. When you're ready to install the intermediate step, place the board like so, mark through the hole, attach step supports with 1/4 by 1.5-inch carriage bolts and hex nuts. Place the nut on it, tighten it up. For step 15, attach the star to the star mast with 2 each 3/8 by 1-inch bolts and clamp nuts. Adjust height as desired. Step 16, to install the handrails, place them on top of the T's, insert a 1-inch bolt, nut on top, and of course tighten these up. These are the only channels that mount upside down. If you notice, the slot is on top. To install the back handrail, use a 1-inch bolt and clamp nut. Put these on all the uprights extending up the tree. Then take the back channel, turning the channel over the clamp nuts. Use a socket wrench. Step 17, you will attach the 1 5/8 channel guard rails to the inside of section A and G uprights, about halfway between handrail and step. Use a 2.5-inch bolt and clamp nut. Take the guardrail with the channel sliding over the nut. When all the bolts and nuts are secure, the stairway will be completely safe. For step 18, attach the 1 5/8 by 7/8 channel back guard to uprights A and G about 2.5 feet above the top row platform, using 3/8 by 1-inch bolts and clamp nuts. Proceeding to step 19, as you can see, all of the handrails have been installed, and we're now fastening the poultry wire on the first tier to the handrails. We stretch it tight, put a tie wire about every 2.5 feet, and then being very careful at the corner to stretch it tight, leave enough space to bend around and cut it off about right here. Here you can see that we've installed the poultry wire on the back side of the handrail. The reason for that is that the poultry wire is 36 inches wide, and we only had about 2 feet inside here to cover. We'll still install the greenery on the inside, just looping over these particular uprights. We put the greenery in this area all the way up and down the handrails on each side to outline the silhouette of the tree and also fill in the spaces that can be seen from, say, the balcony area in through here. All that will be seen when the greenery is installed will be just a nice green tree. After you have attached the poultry wire, mount the electrical outlet boxes. They're color-coded for your convenience. Be sure the electrical boxes correspond to the row where attached. Place terminal box on the floor under the tree. You plug in the strings of electric bulbs, and the spacing will be about like this. There's a little slack in between so that they don't have to be stretched tight. We recommend that you use a twist tie to attach the socket to the poultry wire. As you run the greenery on top of this, you'll be able to position the socket so that the bulb extends through the greenery. As the greenery is unpacked, it will be slightly flat and misshapen. You'll need to fluff it out, straightening it somewhat. This piece has been straightened and fluffed. When you install it on the chicken wire, using twist ties, you'll be able to straighten the bulbs so that they extend through the greenery. Be sure that the greenery extends about 2 to 3 inches above the top rail. As you apply the second row of garland, be sure that it overlaps the first by about 50%. This gives you good thick coverage. You can see then that the bulbs extend through, and the greenery helps hold them in place.
53 feet tall, over 16,000